was just minding my own business, scrolling through my computer late at night the way I always did. The room was quiet, except for the soft hum of my desktop and the occasional creak of the house settling. Then I read something. Just a simple paragraph, really. A stupid little post. It told me to look behind me. I hesitated. A chill ran up my spine, even though I knew there was nothing there. But curiosity is a terrible thing, isn't it? Slowly, I turned my head. A wall. That's all it was. The plain, off-white wall behind my desk. The post told me to pick a spot. Any spot. So I did. My eyes settled on a tiny imperfection in the paint, a barely noticeable bump in the smooth surface. I focused on it. Really let it sink in where it was in relation to my desk, my chair, my eyes. And then the post told me something else. That spot, right there, was where all the negativity in my mind was stored. My fear, my doubt, my paranoia. It was safe there, locked away. I scoffed, shaking my head. Yeah, okay, I muttered to myself, closing the tab. But something was different. The room felt heavier. I tried to brush it off, but I couldn't. The longer I sat there, the more I became aware of the spot. I wasn't looking at it anymore, but I knew exactly where it was. Every time I glanced at my screen, I felt it lingering in the background, just out of sight. And then I started to feel it. A creeping dread, a whisper of unease curling around my shoulders, slithering down my spine. It wasn't just paranoia. It was real. Something was behind me. I turned. The wall was the same. The spot was the same. But it felt wrong now. It wasn't just a spot anymore. It was something else. I should have stopped there. Should have forgotten about it. But I didn't. I made a mistake. I reached out. My fingertips brushed the wall, and something touched me back. At first, I thought I imagined it, just a trick of my senses. But then, no, it was real. A sensation, a faint pressure, impossibly cold, pressing against my fingertip. I yanked my hand back so fast that my chair nearly tipped over. My breath hitched. My skin tingled where I'd touched the wall, like something had seeped into me. I stared at the spot, heart pounding. Nothing moved. Nothing changed. But I knew. Something was different now. The room felt wrong, like the air had thickened, like the space itself had shifted in some imperceptible way. My monitor flickered. A single sharp click echoed through my speakers, even though no audio was playing. I turned back to my screen, willing myself to ignore it. Maybe I was just freaking myself out. Maybe I was sleep deprived. But then I noticed something on my monitor. A document was open. I hadn't opened it. I hadn't even touched my keyboard. A single sentence stared back at me. "You shouldn't have done that." My chest tightened. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, but I didn't type. A soft creak sounded behind me. I froze. The wall. No, I wasn't going to turn around. Not this time. My screen flickered again, and a second line appeared beneath the first. Look. My pulse thundered in my ears. My hands clenched into fists. I had two choices. Turn around and face whatever was behind me. Ignore it and shut down my computer, pretending none of this ever happened. But deep down, I already knew. I was never going to make the right choice. I didn't want to. Every part of me screamed, "Don't turn around." But something else, something stronger pulled at me. The kind of pull you feel when standing at the edge of a cliff. That sick curiosity that whispers, "What if you jump?" My breath came in short, uneven gasps. Slowly, so slowly, I turned my head. The wall was there. The spot was there. but something was wrong. The color looked deeper, darker, like a shadow had settled into the very paint itself. The edges of the spot blurred, shifting slightly, like ink bleeding through paper. And then the spot blinked. I wasn't looking at a mark on the wall anymore. It was an eye, a wide, unblinking eye, sunken deep into the wall, staring straight at me. My body locked up. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. Then from inside the wall came a sound, a slow, deliberate knock. Knock, knock, knock. Not from my side, from inside. Something was in there. Something alive. I scrambled backwards so fast that my chair tipped over. My chest heaved, my hands shook. The knocking stopped, but the eye didn't. It just watched. Then, just as suddenly as it had appeared, the eye vanished. The spot was just a spot again. The wall was just a wall. But I knew better. I felt it now. The weight, the presence. The realization hit me like a truck. I hadn't been keeping something locked in the spot. I had been keeping it out. And now, it was free. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. Even after the eye disappeared, even after I forced myself to sit at my desk and pretend it was over, the feeling never left. I wasn't alone. Something else was in the room with me. I felt it watching, felt it shifting, just outside my vision. My screen flickered again, this time flashing static for a split second before settling. My speakers crackled with faint, distorted whispers. And then, my computer mouse moved, not a twitch, not a slip of my hand. It dragged itself across the desk, slow and deliberate, stopping just over my desktop's power button. And then it clicked. The screen went black. The room was silent. I sat frozen in my chair, staring at my reflection in the monitor's dark glass. My chest rose and fell in rapid, panicked breaths. And then I saw it, in the reflection, a shape. It was behind me. No. It was inside the wall, the outline of something pressed against the surface, distorting it like thin fabric stretched over a body. A face, long, twisted, hollow-eyed. Its mouth opened, and then it pushed forward. The wall buckled outward, like it was trying to step through. I shot up from my chair so fast that I nearly collapsed. My legs barely held me as I stumbled backward, my breath ragged and uneven. The thing inside the wall shuddered. Its hand, too many fingers bending the wrong way, pressed against the surface, stretching it outward. The spot, the one I had been staring at earlier, had grown. It was no longer a tiny blemish. It was a gaping, hungry hole. And something inside the hole was laughing. Not loudly, not human, just a whisper of sound slithering into my ears, filling my head with static and rot. I ran. I didn't think, didn't stop. I just tore out of my room and slammed the door behind me. My heart pounded so violently that I thought it might explode. For a moment, everything was quiet. And then, the knocking started again. Knock, knock, knock. But this time, it wasn't coming from the wall. It was coming from inside my room, and it was getting louder. The knocking didn't stop. It grew louder, faster, more frantic, like something was trapped in my room, pounding against the door, desperate to be let out, or worse, let in. I pressed my back against the hallway wall, my breath coming in short, jagged gasps. My skin prickled with cold sweat. Then a voice, low, rasping, crawling through the wood like splintered glass. Let me out. I choked on a breath. No. That wasn't me in there. That wasn't human. But the voice, it sounded like me, a perfect imitation, except for the wrongness underneath. like a puppet mimicking speech, like something wearing my voice as a mask. You let me out. The doorknob twisted. I bolted. I ran like my life depended on it because I knew it did. The house warped around me. The hallway stretched too long. The walls groaned and pulsed like they were breathing. The air thickened, pressing in on me like invisible hands clawing at my skin. The lights flickered, and then they died. I was drowning in darkness, total, suffocating blackness. A whisper slithered through the air, brushing against my ear like cold breath. Don't turn around. I squeezed my eyes shut. Footsteps, soft, deliberate, coming closer. My pulse hammered in my skull. Then, a hand, clammy fingers slid over my shoulder. I screamed. I ran. Somehow, I found the stairs. Stumbled, nearly fell. My feet barely touched the steps as I flew toward the front door. My shaking hands clawed at the lock, twisted it, ripped the door open, and the world outside was gone. No street, no houses, no sky, just black, endless, empty, a void stretching forever. And then it moved. Not nothing, not empty. Something was in the dark, and it had been waiting. The whisper came again, curling around me like smoke. You shouldn't have looked. The door behind me slammed shut. The last thing I felt was something pulling me back. Blackness. I don't know how much time passed. Seconds, hours, years. Then, a sound. Faint. Familiar. Knock. 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 I opened my eyes. I was back in my chair, at my desk. My computer was on, the soft glow of the screen casting shadows across my room. For a moment, I thought it was over. A bad dream, a hallucination. And then I saw it, the spot. It was bigger now, a yawning hole in the wall, and inside it, eyes, dozens of them, blinking, watching, waiting. And the knocking, it wasn't coming from inside my room anymore. It was coming from inside me, like something had climbed inside my skin and was knocking to get out. And then I smiled. Except, I wasn't the one smiling.